I'd like to preface this video by saying that Dungeon Meshi is a solid show thus far. It's currently my second favorite coffee time anime, just behind Soso no Frieren. It seems there may be a soft resurgence of relatively slow-paced adventure and exploration-themed anime with a slice-of-life motif that thankfully also aren't isekai. And I'm all for it. I honestly didn't think it would keep my attention, since I'm personally really not into cooking or cooking-related media on any level. The only other cooking-related anime, or show in general, I've watched is the Fate spin-off Today's Menu for the Amiya Family. And I only watched that because of my pre-existing emotional investment in the characters. The fact that I generally like seeing otherwise serious characters in serious settings, interacting in more humorous and wholesome ones, and my god, this is wholesome. And the fact that the episodes are fairly short and obviously made with a ton of soul. Like, seriously, this show was obviously someone's passion project. Sorry, got off track, back on topic. Dungeon Meshi is genuinely well made, as stated earlier. The character designs are great, the backgrounds are beautiful, the animation is fluid and consistent. Really, the fact that the living armor wasn't animated with CGI was a very pleasant surprise. And the characters themselves are, for the most part, fun to see in action. Chilchuck, best boy. I just hope that Marcel's gimmick of being averse to the dungeon food Senshi cooks, despite it having tasted great each and every time, and Laios's Fred-like fixation on dungeon food to the point where he was disappointed they couldn't cook frickin' plate armor, is just slightly toned down. Additionally, it does a fairly decent job of keeping its light and comedic tone while tackling more serious subject matter, such as adventure fatalities. Doing so with a sort of mild indifference I haven't had the chance to see too often. This, all the while potentially hinting at some darker elements of the dungeon. Seriously, this thing's everywhere. This is no longer Chekhov's gun, it's Chekhov's landmine. With all that said, what the hell was that opening sequence? The guy zones out because he's fucking hungry while in the middle of pitched combat, his sister saves him in the last second only to get gobbled up by the dragon in his stead, and then teleports the rest of the party away while she stays behind as a sacrificial lamb. Okay, seems like a good opener for an intense and fast-paced Saving Private Ryan sort of deal. You know, the kind of show where the party has to rush back at full gallop, using all of their wits, skills, and resources to take the shortest possible route to the dragon's location, all the while coping with an intense sense of dread that this may all be for naught, as their friend may already have become an unresurrectable pile of dragon dung. Instead, this is a relaxing, relatively slow-paced show about cooking dungeon creatures. Does anyone else find that jarring? Seriously, it's consistently in the back of my mind while I'm watching this show, and I just can't get fully engrossed in it because of it. Like, I get it. They're in a rush to save Phelan, who's stuck deep within the dungeon, and they have neither the time nor money to buy and carry that much food. Sure. It still doesn't justify it. The tone and pacing of the intro sequence is entirely at odds with the tone and pacing of the show. There were an infinite number of other ways that would have complemented the slow-paced, slice-of-life, adventuring, and cooking elements almost infinitely better. A show that does this perfectly is one I already mentioned at the very beginning. Soso no Frieren. I won't get into any spoilers, since this video isn't about it, but while the adventuring party there has an end goal, it's really not time-sensitive, and allows for the characters to wander about a bit, get involved in local goings-on, which can entail anything as mundane and wholesome as searching for a flower, or as badass as fighting demon generals and their armies. I have a tendency to ramble on and over-explain my points, and this was meant to be a brief one, so I'll bring the video to a close here. To restate, Dungeon Meshi's opening sequence, which was meant to set character motivation and establish the tone of the show, is entirely incongruous with its later tonal and thematic elements. This to such an extent that it has negatively affected my personal enjoyment of the show proper. While I do like it enough that I will certainly finish it, I feel having a more appropriate opening sequence would have elevated the show to significantly greater heights. I am also genuinely interested whether any of you had a similar feeling. I could just be hyperfixating on this. I just find it frustrating that such a solid show has such a glaring, entirely avoidable flaw, in my eyes at least. In any case, as always, thank you very much for watching, feedback is always appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.